Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today on Sadie and Sean Have No Friends. Sean, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I never talked about it or asked you about it yesterday, but yesterday was Boone's first day of kindergarten. So his
It
first
was.
actual school.
It was the first day.
Did you cry?
I didn't cry.
Cry?
I mean, I think that he's gone to a babysitter for since forever, since he was just a little guy. And so I'm used to kind of dropping him off somewhere in the morning, and it's just a new place to drop him off. So it didn't really hit me that hard. I don't think Shannon cried either, which I'm kind of surprised by because I expected that she would.
Yeah, because this is her last baby going out. That's what I think is so hard about the situation is that you realize like this is it. That's the last little one going through. But it's funny because all of my other friends have had children when I originally had children and then they're done now. And now they're just and we're still doing this kind of stuff. But it's different each time, but I thought, I wonder how they handled that, and I meant to ask you yesterday if you cried,
I got
and you
yelled at.
why? Did you park in the wrong area?
No, I we can talk about that more, but I parked and then we took Boone up to his door and dropped him off and gave him hugs and all of the things that you do on the first day of school. And we were leaving, and where I parked, there's a crosswalk like 100 feet that way and 100 feet the other way, and I was right in the middle of them. And so we crossed the road without a crosswalk, but there was no cars coming. I looked both ways like I tell Boone to do, and everything was good. But one of those crosswalk guards saw us from 100 feet away, and they were like, "Hey, you have to use the crosswalk." And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Oh boy, sorry about that. Sorry, I'm that guy." Like it seemed unnecessary, but thanks for letting me know. They take their
And at
job real
least
serious.
and at least 30 parents in the vicinity judged you in that
No, for
moment.
sure.
They're like, "What a dumbass." I mean, the
Plus,
seriously.
I felt kind of scummy because I'm not an early morning person, and it was early, and we had to go extra early the first day, and so I didn't get up and get ready by any means. I got up and I threw on some short gym shorts and a t-shirt and a backwards hat, and I was rocking a scruffy face and a
They were
mustache.
like, "Learn the rules of the road, you hobo."
Yeah, right. I not only do I look like the trashiest dude at the school, but I'm the one that's jaywalking as well.
Yeah. But I don't know, like today wasn't an official day back, but this morning we had to go in and see her classroom and her teacher is absolutely amazing. Her name is Mrs. Hazelby and I'm telling you that she's amazing because going into the school year, I thought maybe today we could talk about the best teachers and the worst teachers we've had because there are some bad ones out there too. I mean, I get it, but I think that Miss Hazelby for me is number one for the best. And I'm going to say it's because when Cooper moved schools, she was his first teacher, and I worried about him. He wasn't very outgoing. It was harder for him to make friends when he was little. And so I feel like that mother son bond, it like broke my heart and I felt terrible every day and I worried about him so much and she was so wonderful and kind and took such good care of him and so she for me is a life-changing teacher and now she has Murphy so it was like a full circle this morning when we dropped Murphy off to the classroom because we're like wow it's been so long and now Cooper's in high school he's going to be done before you know it and it's good so that is on the top of my list then I had a PE teacher who legit said he beat his wife so he's on the bottom of my list. Now
Why would
you
you
go.
say something like that?
Remember he talked about if you well many episodes ago we were talking about I don't even know how it came up, but my middle school gym teacher was so mean and angry and awful and at the time I was like what a monster and now I'm like oh dude I get it. But he started the first day of class and he's like everything you've heard about me is true. I beat my wife and I kick puppies and I don't care. And I don't know what the strategy was behind that. Like we would all be scared, or
I would have
he
been.
was
It would have
pointing
worked
out
on
the
me.
fact that there were so many stupid rumors about him. Like he doesn't even care if you believe it. You just have to listen and can't pretend it's your period every week. And he was probably bottom of my list of teachers.
I so top of my list. Well, the kids, kind of a crazy story. Shay and Quentin ended up having the same teacher each too, in different years. And Shay loved this guy. His name was Mr. Teddy, and Mr. Teddy was Shay's favorite, and she absolutely adored him.
Oh, and
And
that's a
then
cute name.
Quentin was so excited to get Mr. Teddy, and I used to give Mr. Teddy concert tickets because he loved country shows, and Shay would talk to him, and I would get him tickets and hope that when he got Quentin, he would take extra care of Quentin because Quentin needs the extra care.
Yeah.
And anyway, Quentin was excited. He got Mr. Teddy, and he was excited. And then, like 3 months into the school year, we get an email that Mr. Teddy got fired in the middle of
Oh,
the year.
I thought you were going to say Mr. Teddy could not handle Quentin. Like there's a difference
No, they
between
were
the two
doing
children.
good. Quentin liked him
No, why
too,
did
and
he get
Mr.
fired?
Teddy Mr. Teddy was a no bullshit kinda guy, it sounds like he was really nice, but
Yeah.
he did not put up with the bullshit if you were one of those kids
So
that
of
jacked
course we
around all
got
the
rid of
time.
him.
Well, it sounds like he may have put his hands on a kid, like, not hurting them, but if I remember correctly, and I don't wanna spread false rumors about this guy, not that anyone listening is knowing him, but if I remember correctly, it had something to do with a kid, like, getting in a fight, and he was breaking up a fight, but he used too much physical he got too involved. He
This
tackled a
is
kid or
why I
something.
feel like, and I don't want to sound like a grandma, everybody, but I feel like we are doomed because not only if I would have stood up against a teacher like at a fighting stance, would I have probably gotten my ass beat by the teacher, but my parents would have beat me twice as hard when I got
Mhm.
home. And I hate to say that because I don't want to, but we live now in a time where it's like, if, and this is why people don't want to be teachers because you do not get paid enough to, and I've said this before because I believe it's so 1000%. You are expecting these teachers to go out and teach kids, which is almost impossible these days with cell phones and vape pens and all that crazy shit. And then you treat them not that good, and not every case, but there are a lot of cases where teachers aren't treated and they're not backed by the people that should be backing them. And then you get parents who are complete cheese wieners who are like, you brushed up against my kid too hard and now he's scarred for life. Like, my parents would have been on a conference call while beating me in the background with this teacher. And, I don't know. I don't know. It just makes me so sad. And
They had, like, a rally for Mr. Teddy when he got fired, and we went to it, and we had signs, and they had, like,
I
a
know,
little
but they don't
parade,
do
and we
anything.
all honked, and we all gave him hugs and said we supported him, and, like, we were on team Mr. Teddy, but, yeah, it didn't help the matter. He didn't he they kept him fired, and as far as the kids ended up moving schools here a couple years ago because we moved, but, I don't think that he ever went back, not to that school, that's for sure.
I hear more and more of people who've gone to school to become a teacher, and then they're finding different careers because it's just become impossible to teach kids these days. And it really makes me wonder, like, how is everything gonna shake out in the end? Because teachers aren't allowed to teach kids. And if they, again, accidentally brush up against them while breaking up a fight, I mean, like, my grandfather was a math teacher. No bullshit. Think Back to the Future. I mean, he was the principal. He wouldn't make it an hour because he wasn't sensitive enough. But you know what? All the kids knew not to fuck with the guy,
Mhm.
and they had respect for him.
I
And I
almost feel like we need a school like that now, where there's like a waiver that parents sign, and you sign it knowing that your kid might, if they cross too many lines, they're going to get beat with a ruler. Like, we're not going to leave
Yeah,
welts, and they're not going to get bruises, but they're going to know that they can't do that, and that like, screw your feelings. Like, if you're a dickhead, we're going to be a dickhead back to you, and we're going to get the society back on track. I'd sign a waiver and let my kids go to that school tomorrow.
I would too. But again, It's a different time. They have sensitivity training. They do things now that I personally don't understand. And I always tell teachers the first of the year, if they step out of line, slap them around a little, go ahead. And they always laugh like, "Oh my god, I might get fired just for laughing at that." But it's, I think I see it all the time. I see it because we go to the kids go to a very good school, and these parents, they don't got shit to do all day. They don't got to go to work. They do Pilates and then they bitch to the principal about stupid stuff like how much dairy is in the milk their child is drinking. And you know what I'm saying? Like, again, teachers don't get paid enough and now they're getting canceled for things. Come on.
It's not good. Well, anyways, that was my kid's favorite teacher. My favorite teacher are I guess I had a couple. There's a couple. I still stay in touch with my third grade teacher to this day. She
Yeah.
was she was awesome. We were friends on social media. Her husband was a cop who pulled me over a couple of times when I was in high school and knew me and so didn't give me tickets. And I forever love him for that because at the time $150 ticket would have broke me. And so plus my dad probably would have broke me on top of it.
Yeah.
And he
Or
let
would
me
he have
out.
blamed the police officer for pulling you over in a
No,
mean way?
no, he certainly would not have. So I love that teacher still to this day. I ended up her son wanted to get into radio and I ended up letting him be my intern and he has a successful career in radio or did for a while anyway. And so we've stayed in touch. And I don't know in the moment that she was my favorite teacher. Third grade was a long time ago. I can't really remember, but I think she was great and I love her to this day. And so I'll put her as my favorite. And then my least favorite
Yes.
was a lady who was like a family friend. We knew this lady. I had known her for my whole life and she was always really nice and I loved her and I got in her class at some point in elementary school. I don't even remember what grade and I thought this is going to be great. The greatest year of my life. I like this lady. She like had a vendetta against me and I didn't realize it until I
Did
got into
you?
I was a good student. I talk about this all the time. Like I didn't get in trouble. I was always minding my P's and my Q's and doing the right thing. And that year I got like sent to the principal office and I got written up a few times for dumb things. Like one time I bumped into a kid truly on accident. It was horrifying, but I bumped into him on accident and it shoved a pencil into his hand just a little bit, like not hard. I don't
You
even think blood
stabbed
came
him?
out. I don't think blood even came out. Like it just got under that first layer of skin. And we were young. And so he screamed and cried and he was like, ah. And I was like, that truly was an accident. Like we were all as a class being fast and running around and doing what elementary
You
school kids.
accidentally stabbed another
No,
kid.
I
It
didn't have the
happened.
pencil. He had the pencil and he stabbed himself essentially because I bumped into him as everyone was bumping into everyone else. The kid should go to it's Darwin Awards. I mean, he shouldn't have had a pencil in his hand while we're roughhousing. Anyway,
John, you are really fighting this fight,
I
so go
got
ahead.
I
Go
got
ahead.
written up for it. And I was like, come on, woman. Like, this was truly even the kid told her like he didn't mean to. It was an accident. And she was like, "No, principal's office." And I was just like, "This bitch is out to get me."
So
And
then
that whole
were
year,
your parents then friends with her still, continued, or were they like, "That's weird"?
I don't think they bought it. Like, and we weren't close family friends, by the way. It wasn't like we were super close. It was like a mutual friendship. It's kind of hard to explain. No one cares, but like they weren't best friends by any means. And so no, they didn't hold it against her, but I don't know that they believed me. I don't know that I ever told them, like, I think this woman's out to get me. But now looking back on it, she was out to get me for sure.
Why do you think she hated you so much, little Sean?
I don't know. I think sometimes like it's like reverse psychology. Like I know you, and because I know you and you're a kid, sometimes kids feel like they can get away with more because we're friends.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make sure you know you ain't getting away with shit, bud.
My gosh. Okay. Now let me tell you, the gym teacher was rough, but I've already talked about him in a prior episode. Um, Truly the worst teacher that I had, and this is an outrageous story. Get ready for it. I was her student aide, so like intern, and she taught English as a second language. So everyone in the class spoke Spanish primarily, and I didn't speak a lick of it. And but I had to make copies and make sure everybody had, exactly what they needed. And but what we would do is there were certain days which were block days where classes were 90 minutes long. And so what she would do is this is outrageous to think about now. but she would give them an assignment, like read chapters 3 through 6. And then we would literally walk out and we'd take off on the run. We'd park at a certain location by the door, by her room, and we'd get in the car and we'd go to Taco John's. All the while, there's no one watching these children because the teacher's driving the car. And we go through and we order Taco John's. We eat as fast as we can as we're driving back. And then we walk in, and then the bell rings. The kids never knew for a full year. And they never knew English. We didn't teach them any English at all. Now,
Every
I don't.
day? You did this every time you
Well,
had
it
this
was
class?
block days. So I was
Yeah.
there for Tuesday and Thursday.
So
So
twice a
on
week.
twice a week, these kids learn diddly shit unless they read the actual book, which who's going to do that? Or I'm like, now, again, looking back at as an adult, I'm like, what if someone had a seizure and we're getting potato olays right now? And, so anyway, that's not the craziest part of this teacher. This is like an onion. So I had the biggest crush on this boy at my school. And I had the biggest crush on him. And I would go to her because she was like the cool teacher that you could talk to. Obviously, we're ditching together. And I'm like, I think I love him. And oh my God, he just blah, blah, blah. And she would like sympathize with me and be like, yeah, that's, your first love, whatever. And she ended up having a baby with him.
With the kid?
With my crush.
With a student?
Yeah, the minute he turned 18, well, he really wasn't into me. Now I know why. But then he wasn't really looking for my age bracket of 16, 17. The minute he turned 18, something started. They had a baby together.
Did they
And
get
my
married?
crush got total. And you know what sucks? She probably went to him and it was like, she crazy about you. And then they were,
How
but I
old
don't know
was
if,
she? How much was the gap?
I mean, okay, it's so hard because age is relative. When I was 16, like 30 was like 90. So I have
Right.
to think she was probably late 20s. I
Okay.
mean,
That's not horrible, I guess.
so then anyway, fast forward again, an onion effect. I'm like, this is some weird shit. I think she had, and social media, she shares pictures of her son, and he looks just like the dude I had a crush on. And so I'm like, this is trippy. We're both adults. I'm going to ask her, did you have a baby with this person? And I did, and she never responded to me. So then now Sophie is the age that I was when all this happened, and she becomes her teacher's aide. Okay, like
Same teacher?
same teacher, completely different high school. She becomes the teacher's aide. She kind of has gone off the rail. She was always a little kind of crazy, but now she really is kind of like I don't, this isn't in a negative way, but I mean she needs to get her levels checked because she's really mean one minute and then the next minute and she was that way when I was young, but I was young, so it was like, what am I going to do? And once she found out that I was her mom, she just, ooh, ice. And it's because we competed for the same man, but I lost. So what's her problem, dude?
Did she marry this guy or just have his kid?
I literally have no idea. What I can tell you about this guy is I remember he came from a very religious family, very religious. And so I'm like, how did this go down? And I wish I could have been a fly on the wall, but I was feeling pretty bad at that moment that my teacher stole my dream lover. And it was a total bummer. And so then having to see her at back to school night, because that was technically one of Sophie's teachers, that wasn't weird and awkward and a weird conversation with Ryan. He was like, and again, different time. Now Keith Morrison would be knocking at her door like, what's going on? We didn't have that luxury in the early 2000s, so you just kind of went with it.
There was that streak of, like, news for a while where it was, like, a bunch of hot teachers that were in
I
their
know.
mid-20s and they were hooking up with the high school students, and I was like, "Damn." Every high school teacher that I had, every single one of them was an old lady who no, absolutely not, no desire, and that's probably good because I feel like a young, hot teacher that's in, like, 23 probably shouldn't be teaching 17-year-old high school boys because they're never going to be able to concentrate. They're never gonna be able to do anything other than oogle over their teacher. And so,
Right.
uh,
You gotta have kinda like
yeah,
that
yeah,
older
or a
woman.
dude. Yeah.
Up n not to interrupt your story, but to go back to mine, just a little part that I left out was that before she knew this was my daughter, she tried to set Sophie up with her son, which would have been
Oh, that
my crush's son with the teacher.
dang.
I don't even know, like, I need, like, 10 minutes and a piece of paper and a pen to write down how what that would make us family-wise. I don't know.
That would make him your son-in-law.
The boyfriend or my
Yeah,
crush?
well, it would make the son there's no relative. Like, you would just if Sophie married that kid, he would be your son-in-law.
Oh my gosh. Could you believe it? Wouldn't isn't
Yeah,
that a
that would be
wacky tale to
that's a
tell?
that's a movie for sure. That's a Netflix,
So
maybe Lifetime movie,
but
like,
I do think she went off the I do think she went off the rails mentally, because I used to go to this gym and I liked their yoga class, so I went a couple days a week just to try it, and, I remember one time sitting and waiting for the class to start, and she walked in full clothes with high heels on, and she got on a, elliptical machine, and she was elliptical in her ass off, and I'm like, "What the
in
fuck
high
is
heels.
this?" Yeah, I took a
You
s
just can't get away from this lady.
I know, and
You
I'm like,
can't go
"What
to
is she
yoga
doing here?" She
class, your
never even
daughter
looked
can't
at
go to a
me.
random school, like, she's just everywhere. She just keeps popping up.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I thought she maybe wanted to connect with me about our passionate, we each had a thing that for this guy. I never did. I mean, he was hooking up with an older chick. I was a loser. I had braces, but yeah, that might be my least favorite teacher.
Yeah, that's kinda crazy. This has nothing to do with favorite or least favorite teacher, but, one of my high school teachers, she taught, like, the home ec class where you got to cook, which was kinda cool, and
Yeah.
she she was kinda I have to be careful because she might watch this. She in high school, she was kind of bipolar. Like, she was also one of those ladies where you never knew what you were gonna get. Some days she was super, super sweet, and other days she was really, really mean. And anyway, one day we cooked, like, cinnamon hard candy, and it's very well
Glad
known
you
that
learned that.
if you cook if you cook cinnamon hard candy, you can't get the fumes, like the steam as it's cooking into your eyes because it will burn your
Oh,
eyes. And she
okay.
told us over and over and over, this is the one thing you can't do. And guess what my dumbass did? I burned my eyes with the cinnamon candy. I still think to this day that's why my eyes water all the time because I try every allergy medicine there is out
How
there.
often
And
did you make hard candy?
one
Once?
time,
And
and
you think it burned your eyes for life?
it burnt the shit out of my eyes. And you can go to the grocery store. Let me tell you this. You can go to the grocery store and there's 8 million different eye drops for dry eyes. There's not one eye drop for 2 watery eyes, and that's what I have. No one else has what I have. My eyes just continuously water all the
It's
time.
like your
I
tear
take and
ducts.
everybody keeps telling me that it's allergies, it's allergies. I've tried every allergy medicine there is. I've tried every allergy eye drop there is. My eyes water no matter what I do, and I can only attribute it to me burning my eyes with the cinnamon candy. But anyway, she was so pissed at me, and we did not get along well after that because she had warned us so many times, and I was the one idiot that did it. And then she felt
Did
like
you
she was the
scream in
bad,
class?
huh?
Did you scream?
I didn't scream, like, it's a slow
Oh,
burn. I had to go to the
okay.
nurse, and then they had to take me to the doctor to get my eye like, it's serious when you burn your eyes with cinnamon candy juice because it's, like, it's super concentrated, it burns the shit out of your eyes. And so, anyways, it was a whole thing, and I think that she thought it comes back on her because she she did explain it, but maybe people think she didn't explain it well,
Well, yeah, again, in this
and
day and
yeah.
age, she would have been fired.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, so our relationship was a little bit tumultuous, and then I worked at a bowling alley, which I talked about a lot, and all of a sudden, one day, because during leagues they have cocktail waitresses, right? They go around and serve the drinks. One day she pops up and she's the new cocktail waitress at the bowling alley where I work, and I was like, "What the heck? You were like a teacher's teacher. Like I can't even see you serving a drink." And
I
she did.
know.
And then that was at the very end of me working at the bowling alley. I think we only worked together for like a week, and then she continued working there until like a year ago, and I still frequented the place. I grew up in and my parents
So
became
she went
friends with
from
her.
teaching little rugrats like you.
She was doing it on the side. It was a
Oh,
side
she was
hustle.
doing
She
it on the
continued
side.
teaching, and she worked at this bowling alley, but I would get texts from my mom and my dad every once in a while over the last 10 years that she's worked at the bowling alley, and it would be stories that this lady was telling them about me when I was in high school, and half the stories weren't true. She had me confused with other people. The only story that was true was the cinnamon candy story. Everything else she told him, I'd get a text from
She's
my
like,
dad
and
that was
then
like,
he was
"I just heard about
prom
the."
king.
Yeah, I just heard no, it was never good stories. I just heard about the one time that you punched the kid or you tripped the kid or whatever. I was like, "No, that was not me." She's got like every bad story she can think of is now me. My face has been intertwined with everyone that did something bad in her classes over the 25 years
It's
that she
you.
taught because I burned my eyes with cinnamon candy, and it was not me. I only did one thing wrong in her class, and that was the cinnamon candy thing.
Sean, I want you to take a deep breath because you just spoke for like 10 minutes without taking a breath. And so take a deep breath because it's time to kick off If You're Asking Us, which is our new segment. And it's brought to you by Big Stuff Storage, indoor, outdoor storage. Just give them a call. And because, gosh, they're almost full. Are you ready for today? I haven't told you what today's is about. So I'm just
Nope.
going to read it to you and you can just give me a heads up on what you think. Uh, and people can write in and let us know if they're having any issues, and we'll give them, our opinion. Okay. This person wants to know, am I the asshole? She says, my husband and I have been together for 12 years and we were recently married. Ooh, his affair has been going on for 3 months. I recently found out, and rightfully so, I was devastated since we have 3 kids together. We recently got married and he didn't come home one night after work. I got suspicious. That's insane to me. If Ryan didn't come home from work, I would call the cops because I would never think he would have an affair. But those are the people that get blindsided. But she says he didn't come home one night after work. And so I looked on his computer and I found messages on his computer and I found out about their affair. She's also married with kids. Now, here is the question. She picked up the phone and she somehow, with like cyber stalking, it's not that hard to connect with people. She connected with the other woman's husband and kind of blew shit up and said, do you know that your wife is having sex with my husband? She says that now she's trying to reconcile with her husband. The other relationship, the other woman and the husband, they have since split up. They're getting a divorce. It did destroy their marriage. She says, the woman writing in says that she's chosen to forgive her husband, but she says he is remorseful about everything except he thinks that it's wrong that she reached out to the husband and blew up that family. That's today's If You're Asking Us. Sean, take it in.
There's one
What do
I
you
don't have to
think?
take it in. There's one clear answer. Of course,
Oh,
it's not wrong. There was one wrong thing that happened in this whole situation, and that was the dude stoinking somebody that's not his wife. And so once you stoink somebody that's not your wife, it's free game for everyone else to do whatever the hell they want. And people are going to go crazy. Sometimes when you stoink people that aren't your wife, you end up with murders on your hands. So this dude is lucky that no one got killed
you know
because I
what? That
watch
is so
Netflix
true.
shows. And Netflix shows, you know what happens every time? Somebody gets murdered. In this situation, somebody got a phone call. You should be thankful that's all that happened. I rest
That
my
is
case.
true. And do you think that okay, aside from all of that, so the husband comes to the wife and he says, I've made a horrible error in judgment and I want to get back together and I'm sorry for the sex and I'm sorry for the intimacy and I'm sorry for all that. But if the husband cannot let go of the fact that she destroyed this other family, quote unquote, can you really get over it? Is that really an apology?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think that like, you kind of got to, in a situation like that, I feel like you kind of got to if you're choosing to forgive, everybody's going to have to forgive and everybody's going to have to let go to an extent. It's probably always going to be in the back of your mind, but you can't ever move forward if you're holding grudges and you're not truly letting go. So if you're choosing to move forward, you're going to have to let it go. Because if it's a constant thing and it's always being brought up, I think that that's not going to be good. It's not going to be good for anybody, you know?
Yeah. If you have an opinion, which I post these on our social media pages. So if you want to get on there and let us know what you think about today's, if you're asking us, because if you're asking me, I think she needs to kick his drippy dick to the curb. And I hate to say that, but I think I agree with you where once you cross that line, you no longer have a say in whatever your wife does. I just feel that way. And I don't know, maybe that makes us incredibly unhealthy. I should also let you guys know that we have zero education on this and we have absolutely no right to give our thoughts, but
You
we're
actually
doing it
do. We
anyway.
had
I
one
do.
very serious therapeutical episode where you told the
Oh,
story of your past I mean, not to say that you're being Max Powers right now, but kind of because you let a dude
well,
do
and you
this
know
to
what?
you
You're
and you
so
brought him
right.
back like you didn't kick him to the curb right away. You eventually did, but you didn't right away.
But listen, there is a parallel to my story with this person's story. But the thing is, I didn't call the husband because they had children, and I know I had children. I wasn't a thought in the whole process apparently, but they had small children, and I wrestled with the fact of not only am I'm either going to be screwing the children, which now I look back as I'm older and I think she was screwing that for herself. That's not on me. But I didn't want to ruin this family. It just upset me. But again, now I look back, I wish I would have done what this woman did. I wish I would have blown it up because it sucks when it's happening to you and you're the only one that doesn't know about it. And you feel like a fool when you find out. And so to me, if I could go back, I would have blown this bitch up. I would have had one of those balloon companies that puts like signs in your front yard. And when I said, this hoe slept with my husband, and that's how the husband might have possibly found out just when he pulled up to his house. See, I'm vengeful like that. I
You're
was a
like
lot
Carrie Underwood.
nicer then.
You're like a Carrie Underwood song.
I sure am. Thank you so much for listening. Now, I have to say that somebody did reach out today and left us a message, and I feel terrible because they said, why haven't you talked about the USA breakdancing in the Olympics? And I feel like we just keep like we're swimming in the current is pushing us further away from the topic. And but we have to talk about it because I have you seen these clips, Sean, of this Australian woman?
Yeah, we gotta wrap it up. It's cringeworthy. I don't like it. I thought it was stupid and I thought it was dumb, and I'm happy that it's not back in 2028.
Okay, we'll talk about it more in the next episode. Thanks for listening. Way to go.